What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Father Son Rebuilds. My name is Jaime Sr. Behind the camera and master editor is Jaime Jr. And today is the day. Today we are putting this W11 short block together. We got the crank clean, ready, and prepped. Look at this beautiful thing. Well, this is to prevent any rusting or any dust. Well, the crank over here was covered. Pistons are ready to go, cleaned. We are using the same pistons because we know the engine was working. It never had any overheating issues, and it was perfectly fine. So besides the spun bearing, and we did a whole 15-minute video on the crank itself, on end play, oil clearance, using plastic gauge. So that was a pretty cool video. I hope you guys enjoyed it if you saw it. And this is the day we're going to put everything together, and you can get a shot of what we have right here. We got the crank, like I said, ready to go. We have our main bearings already installed. We have our rod bearings here. We have the ARP rod bolts. Obviously, these are probably the best you can buy because they don't stretch and you can reuse them. We have brand new bolts from the dealer. And then we have, this is for the head actually, brand new Molly head bolts, and then the bottom end kit. And we also have the top end kit from Molly on its way as well. So man, this thing is ready to go. I'm super excited. You may notice that I have a couple of notes up here. And one thing that I know, and like I've done before, is just being prepared and having those numbers in front of you. Because when you're trying to torque these things down and you forget or you forget specific sequences, it's just going to create a mess. So I have a little list for the bottom end and the top end. We're going to go at it as we go along, but it obviously includes torque specs, O-rings, sealants, and everything that's in order. Even I have the knock sensor. I'm not sure if you guys need, but this thing needs to be metal to metal contact off the block at 20 degrees. So pretty cool stuff. You learned that. Actually, I got that from the Bentley book. That's the only thing that was that I learned from the Bentley book. The Bentley book is 1,700 pages or 1,400 pages, just ridiculously long. The other book was better. I forgot what the name was. But all right, guys, let's get to it. Alright guys, we already wiped down the mating surface. I'm going to go ahead and wipe down the bearings. Of course with a lead-free rag. And you do not want any foreign material in there. Look at these beautiful things. King bearings, oversized, 0.25 millimeters. We'll go over to this side. Look at this thing, beautiful. All right, I'm gonna wipe down the crank. I'm gonna wipe down the rods as well, but just real quick. More important is the mains. With rubbing alcohol. I already installed the crank position sprocket. Spoke about that last time. That one is red Loctite because there is when the crank gets serviced, it gets baked. And all right, let's go ahead and get some. We're gonna lube this thing up. Plenty of lube. I can't believe we're doing this, man. It's final assembly. Plenty of lube. I don't care if I make a mess because I would rather over lube it than under lube it. Look at that thing. Beautiful. I don't want to get in the mating surface. All right. All right. Last time I did this, I kind of banged it, so remember that main one goes there. Go up higher. Go up higher. We gotta go down at the same time. Okay. Woo. Perfect. All right. Let's get the top half. Actually, whoops. We gotta put the sealant. So once you get it in here, guys, you can go ahead and turn it. And this thing is just sliding beautifully. I don't see anything. You should be able to slide it just like gorge. Okay, let's go ahead and put the Loctite 518. All right, guys, here we go. The book calls for Loctite 518. I actually had both sealants. One is preferable for aluminum and one is ideal for cast iron. I had the other one, but it actually dried out on the jet ski engines that I used to build. So we're gonna go ahead and use this one. This is an anaerobic, what they call an anaerobic sealant, which doesn't require any oxygen to cure. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and place the other half. So let's do that. I usually use a block of wood to spread out the bangs evenly, but wood is usually dirty, and I'm gonna just do it like this. You can hear a change, pitch, when you're making contact. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and start putting this thing together with the brand new bolts. You can just go ahead and dump them in there, Junior, and just make sure you wipe them down. We don't want any actual them dripping, because we do not want any fluids in the block. And that leads me to another point. Make sure you clean all the main holes, everything, because you'd be surprised what would be in there, because if you torque this thing down, you'll split the block eventually. Let's see what you got going on, dude. Pipe one at a time, and then we'll get it going. How about the head? No need on the head, just the thread. All right, guys, so here are the bolts already in. They're just dropped in there, clean and ready to get torqued to spec. Hopefully you guys can see I'm not too close. The book calls to lube the bolts, you know, but I wanted to get the cheapest oil because I'm going to use that as a break-in oil. And when we opened the oil, and it actually smelled like the old oil that we took out of this engine. So a big part of, I think a portion of an issue that created this dilemma was this cheap oil. We got the cheapest thing that we can get, and it's a conventional, non-synthetic, not even a blend, and it just smells old. So there goes to show you what, you know, because oil cooks. Oil is in a hot basically you almost not boiling, but it gets hot and it'll just degrade over time. So I think that was one of the issues, was cheap oil. So we're just gonna use it to break in for the first, I don't know, couple hours. And that's gonna be it. We're gonna change the oil. So let's get to it. I'm gonna go ahead and just bring these bolts down just as they're touching the block. And if this is your first time doing this, you know, be careful with this. You should not try to do this if it's your first time. Just barely gonna touch the block, and that's it. We're just trying to make contact, and then we're gonna torque them down. In the middle, work your way out. All right, guys, here we go. 44 foot-pounds, star pattern. I don't need to be specific on which one because it's really down to the center. Work your way out. Here we go. Not clicking yet, but I just want to do it even. Whew. That's a workout. Oh man, my arm hurts. All right, on to the outers. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and zip in the outer 10mm bolts, and then we'll torque them down. All right, here we go. 26 foot-pounds. That doesn't feel right. There we go. Whoa. Okay. Piston time. All right, guys, here we go. Crank is in, inner and outer bolt are torqued down to spec. The crank is moving freely without any issues. I'm super excited. Now it's piston time. Like I said, we are using the original pistons and the rings. Obviously, we're gonna upgrade to the King bearings. These are standard size. The pistons were cleaned. I did whatever I could, as best as I could, to get them squared away. And I actually want to show you regarding the piston rings. You got to get clocked a certain way. So let me show you real quick. I'm going to bring you to my diagram over here. And you can see I have forward is that way. So the forward or the front of the engine is this way. And the top piston is clocked at 2 o'clock. Top ring is clocked out 2 o'clock. The second ring is clocked at 7 o'clock. And then the two oil scraper rings, the ones that are at the bottom and the top, they each go across from each other as well. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, super important. Like, you know, obviously the job of the rings to scrape oil and keep your compression in and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to put in the rod bearings, and then we'll start assembling it. All right, guys, so I got the bearings out. Beautiful little things, man. I'm so happy. So the little tanks, you know, the little recesses go obviously into the recess. I actually like to put the piston flat and then start at the tang. Try to keep it level and just gently push down. And there it is. super easy. And obviously these are fractured from the factory, so you can't mix them up. Just be very careful, because if you put them in the incorrect position, they will not seat. I mean, this is just beautiful. And then the actual fracture almost disappears, so super nice. All right, let's get to it. All right, guys, pistons are ready to go. We have the rod bearings installed, and actually what I wanted to talk about was the deglazing, not the honing, but the deglazing of the cylinder walls. I'm just saying, my son is laughing in the background. It's just, we didn't hone because we're not taking off any material. We wanted just to bring that crosshatch pattern back. So let's see if you can get a good shot of it, or at least linear, Junior. This way, this way. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay. And actually, in regards to the deglazing, we actually practiced on another W11 block that we do have, which was actually a gift from the guy that we bought the car from. So we actually practiced on that. And actually what I figured out is the honing tool, I actually had too much pressure on it. So, you know, good thing that we practiced on the one that we're not using. And then once we lightened up the load on this one, we completed the one that we're actually using. All right, guys, piston time. Rings are clocked. Like I said, everything's clean. The cylinder walls are ready to accept the pistons. We're gonna start with piston number 1 and then number 4 because the crank is at its lowest point for both cylinders. I'm gonna use the little spring compressor, making sure that the rings are in place. And I'm not gonna oil them because the rings will move around, and I know everybody oils them. They already have some lubricant in there, so I'm gonna do it like that. So bear with me here. All right, guys, so before we install the pistons, obviously we need to clean the cylinder walls. I mean, they're clean, but I like being thorough. This is a freshly washed, lid-free rag. We're just gonna go ahead and wipe it down one more time. I used one of the blue shop towels, and I'm just gonna be a little thorough. Clean this beautifully cross-hatch cylinders. We're gonna oil them up a little bit. A little bit of oil, or a little wall, because we don't want to scratch up all of our hard work. And this is our cheap oil that we bought. This is just for break-in purposes only. And just to help me kind of clock the rings, did a little diagram on the piston. Kind of guide me where it goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little bit of oil, just a little bit. I don't want to put too much because the piston rings will turn on you, and that's why I don't want to be putting out too much. So we're trying to avoid that. Yeah, that looks real good. All right, we're gonna go ahead and clock the rings, and we'll use the piston ring compressor, and we'll be back shortly. All right, guys. You just saw some footage of me installing pistons 1 and 4 because they go down and up on the same stroke. It was actually quite difficult, so I recommend don't get a cheap piston ring compressor. It's just crap, especially for small ones. So that being said, it was actually quite difficult trying to put in the piston into the cylinder without even trying to even touch, you know, the journals and the crank. So I wanted things to be spot on. So like I said, we installed 1 and 4 to its lowest stroke, and we're gonna do plastic gauge just to verify oil clearances. All right, guys, I have plastic gauge on journals 1 and 4. I got a brand new ARP rod bolts. This is super cool, man. And we actually looked up the torque spec on their website, and it is 22 foot-pounds. So we're just gonna go ahead and lube them up. We're gonna lube the thread and collar. I have the cap ready with the standard size bearing. I have them marked, both sides, and of course these are fractured caps, so let's see how we do. All right, guys, rod caps are on. Plastic gauge is in between the bearings and the rod caps. Brand new ARP bolts with the torque tube, the torque lube, ultra torque lube. But once we actually opened up the fastener spec sheet, it says 45 foot-pounds, but then it says Nissan 2-cylinder, so I don't think this is gonna be accurate. And now that I'm looking at it, wow, here we go. 200660008, but then look what it says over here, 2026008. So ooh, now I'm kind of scared. Either way, no problem. It's ARP. I'm sure, you know, we're not gonna have a problem returning these if we have to, because they're not torque to yield. You can torque them down as many times as you want, but it's past 5 during COVID, so no worries. Let's get to it. 22 foot-pounds. That was my instinct actually when I was talking to my son about it. And then he looked it up and it was 22 foot-pounds, so I was off by like 2. So let's do it, 22 foot-pounds. Nice. I mean, now that I think about it, it does seem kind of low, but for such a small boat, I mean, how could it be 45 foot-pounds? That makes no sense. All right, I think that's pretty good there. Actually, now that we're still here, let's take them off and see where the plastic gauge lands. Ooh, that looks pretty. So the book, or the clearances, is 0.05 millimeters or 0.002 inches or 2/1000ths. So let's see where this thing lands. We have the option of 0.051. So let's see how far this thing goes. Man, we're right on the money. Let's see. Let's check the other one. Looks good. All right, guys, so we got the first 2 pistons in, number 1 and 4. We checked oil clearances with plastic gauge. I think you guys might have seen a clip already. After just checking it, you know, and just doing a little bit of math according to what, you know, the book requires, I mean, it is standard fit, and we're gonna be a little tight, just a little tight. So I think we're gonna be okay. I mean, I was off is off by a thou, or, but man, how can I put it? A 1/10 of a millimeter? I'm not really sure. So I think we're gonna be okay. I'm gonna check the other two and install 3 and 4. I'm sorry, 2 and 3. And then we're really gonna start putting this thing together. We'll see you soon. Over here, right there. All right, guys. Caps 1 and 4 are installed. Now we're going to do plastic gauge on 2 and 3, especially number 3 because this is the one that was repaired back to standard. So according to my crank guy. So we're going to go ahead and torque these down with the R53 bolts. We'll be right back with you. Caps are off on journal 2 and 3. And they're exactly the same, 0.038 as 1 and 4. So, I mean, we're gonna go with that. I'm not gonna always measure at the widest, 0.03. It's a little tight, according to the book, but I think we're gonna be okay. So, we're gonna clean up the journals, put the caps back on, and put them on permanently. See you on the next one. All right, guys, pistons are in. This is awesome. I want to get a shot of how smooth this thing is just going. And man, look at that thing. You can see that the oils, the rings are actually just cleaning the oil off the cylinder walls, and it looks good. So I'm real happy with the way things are turning out. Next is oil squirters. I didn't forget about those because people do forget, and we should be done pretty soon. All right, guys, so we're in the middle of installing the oil squirters. I have the first 3 already done, but I'm gonna use the last one because there's a misconception of that the oil squirters are not clocked. You know, you can only put them one way. Well, yeah, you can only put them one way. What I'm discovering is as the piston goes up, okay, this is an actual mini piston, the squirter can only fit, okay, between the taller portion of the skirt, okay, and the lobe of the crank. So there's only one way it's gonna really fit, okay? So why don't you come get a shot of this right here? Junior, you're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's just do that one right there. And you're gonna see that it goes right, yeah, right there, that's good. Right there. So as you can see, crank goes down, there's the lobe. Right there, right there. See where the skirt, that's the skirt between the lobe and the squirter. So what it's doing, it's coming up like this, goes up, and the squirter is right about here. And you do have some movement in there without touching. The crank lobe will not touch, but it has to be between here. So there is only one way to do it. So just an FYI, we'll get a shot of me installing this so you can see what I'm doing to have the squirter centered, and just so you guys know. All right, guys, so you can see there's the squirter between the skirt and the lobe. So I'm just gonna use, see, there's plenty of room. There's plenty of room, so I'm just gonna use the screwdriver to keep a distance from the skirt, and I'm just gonna cinch her down. And as you can see, between the lobe and the skirt with plenty of room. Oil pickup from our brand new Molly kit. So super excited, just open this thing up. brand new ring. Ooh, wow. Obviously they're color coded so you don't get it mixed up, luckily, but most of them are black. Hopefully you guys can see me. I lube it up right here with oil. Slide it over the super clean pickup tube. Here are the bolts. Ooh, nice. You can feel the tension on the O-ring. I like that. I didn't find any specs, any torque specs for the oil pickup tube, but we'll just cinch it down. Nothing too crazy. And that is that. Install the oil pickup, I'm sorry, the oil pan gasket. Brand new. Here's a beautiful thing. Super excited. And this only goes one way. It literally, oh, and there's little little tabs. There's little tabs, so actually allow you to place it over the block. And then there's no way you can install it the wrong way. Look at that, there it is, look at that. And this is 18 foot-pounds, this beautiful thing, super clean. Used to be full of aluminum chips. And we're just going to cinch them down and start pattern. The book calls for obviously the same sequence. You start from the center and you just work your way out. We're just going to cinch them down just a little bit just to respect your time. That, my friends, is officially the bottom end. Look at this beautiful thing. All right, guys, well, that's it. Bottom end is officially done. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something. Feel free to comment. Any constructive criticism is always appreciated in my world. So thank you very much. We'll see you on the next video.